G'day and welcome to the F Word discussions where we talk everything finance. And welcome, Ruvan. I know PJ is busy with a client meeting this morning, so he won't be joining us. Speaking about joining us, we've got some exciting news of someone new that's joining us soon in the Bovest family, but more about that in February in 2 weeks' time. Ruvan, so since we are in tax season, as we call it, that's January and February, before the end of February, individual can make certain changes to his tax calculations and to save himself on the tax payable side. So I had a question of the week, and the person asked, if I belong to a pension or a provident fund at work, can I still add or top up on my retirement annuity? So 100% yes. SARS made it actually very easy in recent years that they look at the pension, the provident, and the retirement annuity in exactly the same way for an individual. So as an individual, you get up to 27.5%. You can add to one of the retirement products. Let's call it retirement products. The fancy word is non-discretionary funds. But let's say retirement products, up till 27.5% of your salary, up until a maximum of 350,000 Rand per financial year. So this person who asked the question, he belongs to a provident fund at work. So there he contributes 15% of his salary. So 15%, meaning that he can actually top up his retirement annuity in his own name with another 12.5%. He can also top up his provident fund. They call it additional voluntary contribution if your fund or your employer allows that. So he's contributing 15%. He can top it up with another 12.5%. Once again, the maximum is 350,000. So that's the basic rule, and that's how SARS look at you as an individual. For retirement products, you can save up until 27.5%. Another interesting change between a pension and a provident fund is since first of March 2001, SARS actually now said prior to March 2021, you could actually, in a provident fund, you could have taken your whole lump sum when it came to retirement. With a pension fund, remember, you can only take 1/3, and the other 2/3 you would need to buy a living or a life annuity with to pay you self a pension. So that was prior to 2021. After 2021, they said the rules are exactly the same. At retirement, you can only take 1/3 of your provident fund in cash, where the other 2/3 you need to buy a living or a life annuity. Obviously, if you contributed to a provident fund prior to 2021, that's still deemed as a provident fund. So that amount, they call it vested rights, that amount you'll still be able to take the whole lump sum in cash, but any contribution after 2021, now you would need to take, you can only take 1/3 in cash, the other 2 you need to buy a living or a life annuity. So there's a couple of fund rule changes. This does not apply to you if you're over the age of 55, however. Then if you still belong to a provident fund, you will just continue over. The provident fund can take your lump sum in cash. And also if the amount in your provident fund is less than 247,500, that also won't apply to you. And we're busy with a very interesting fund we're managing at the moment. It's 4 different companies actually merging into one provident fund. So 2 of the companies were a pension fund and 2 a provident fund. Now they're merging together. So it was difficult to make sure that all the employees understand the rules of now joining a provident fund. Prior to that, you couldn't transfer a pension fund to a provident fund, but now you can because it's deemed exactly the same. So remember, retirement annuity, pension, provident fund, SARS looks at it exactly the same way. Remember, when you leave your company, there's different rules that apply. We're not going to get into that now. But from a SARS perspective, they look at retirement money exactly the same way. 27.5% you can add as an individual up until the maximum of 350,000 Rand. So, Ruvan, that's a big advantage to take as an individual. Once again, this is not advice. You need to look at your individual circumstances. You're welcome to contact us if you have questions surrounding your individual circumstances, or speak to your financial planner. Make sure that you go at this the right way that suits you as an individual. Also remember, if you put money into a retirement annuity, you cannot access it before the age of 55. So there's different rules that apply. Make sure you take advantage of this tax breaks, but also make sure that it suits you where you are as an individual, where you are in your life circumstances. So that's just in summary. Remember, SARS looks at you as an individual, retirement annuity, pension fund, provident fund in exactly the same way. So, Ruvan, that's it from me. You also have something to say about the new two-pot system. I know there's lots of confusion. It's not yet in place. When is it going to be put in place? We're not exactly sure, but they're looking at September. But maybe you can just elaborate more on the new two-pot system.
Yes, Geo. So it fits in quite well with what you spoke about. Of course, the two-port system, as uh, Treasury called it, and as we know now, it's actually more a three-port system. But let's stick to the wording. So it should have been implemented the 1st of March of this year. And there was quite a few role players. I don't think it's going to be possible to implement the 1st of March. So it was not to be implemented the 1st of March, but there are still a few things hanging. What we do know is there was a update that was posted. None of this is final, but we do believe that this would be implemented the 1st of September of 2024, which is quite a strange date for this to start. But like I said, nothing of this is final, but just a few updates. So the three components. What are the three components? Like I said, they call it the two-port system, but there are actually three components to it. The vested component, which Geo actually just touched on, the savings component, and the retirement component. Now, I'm not going to go into detail again on the vested component, but the savings component is where it gets quite interesting. And this is where I think the point of the two-port system is to help individuals that need cash flow. They saw that during COVID, people that needed cash flow, some people even literally resigned from their job in order to get funds. And then they withdraw the total retirement funds and pay tax on it, and then they have to start over, which is something obviously that the government also does not want, because they can't afford to look after people when they retire. So, what is the savings component? So, it allows members a portion of their benefit before retirement. So, they call it the seeding amount. The seeding amount that will be transferred to the savings component from the members' existing benefit amount in the fund. So, 1/3 of all new contributions to the fund after the implementation, plus all the growth. So the seeding amount will be equal to the lesser of 10% of a member's total value in the vested component, or 30,000 Rand. Okay, so what that means is members will be able to access the savings withdrawal benefit from the savings component, like I just explained, once during the tax year. So the minimum withdrawal is 2,000 Rand, or up to 100% of the value in that savings component that I just explained above. So members will be able to make withdrawals from the savings component in each separate contract. So if they have more than one contract, so more than one provident or pension fund, they'll be able to withdraw from each of them. But when a member resigns from the retirement annuity or the retirement fund prior to retirement, the savings component will be fully accessible as a withdrawal, and the withdrawal tax table will then apply to it. So that's the savings component, and then the retirement component, also exactly like Jill already explained as well. The component is made up of 2/3 of the contributions made to the retirement fund after the implementation date, plus future growth. But no access is allowed prior to retirement. When a member reaches retirement, the full retirement component must be used to purchase a compulsory annuity. So that's the 2/3, or the savings component of your contributions that you make towards the new system. It can be quite, how can I say, confusing. And since this was launched, or since they've been speaking about it, there's been many changes, and many people that have been, I would say, not too happy about it. But I think the whole point of it is to allow members to save more without taking all of their money, retire or resigning from their jobs to take their retirement money. So effectively, probably or hopefully, the how can I say, the retirement component, and the retirement industry, the funds available to, on the capital available to investors or members, would hopefully be larger in future. So hopefully investors will be better off in the long run. But there's quite a few things to get used to now, while this sort of gets put together. But I think just before the 1st of September, I think probably within the next few months, there would be final decisions on what they will be doing and how it exactly will work. And then I think everyone will have clarity. And I think then it's quite important, especially if you have benefits at work, to speak to your advisor or speak to the advisor of the fund. Remember that every retirement fund, your employee benefits, there is an advisor or a consultant that works on that fund, and speak to them and see how this affects you, and maybe where this works into your personal planning as well. I think that would be quite important. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Ruvan. We'll just keep our eyes on that when it actually starts implementation, and we'll just have another discussion closer to the time. Just to summarize, remember, we need to look at it from SARS perspective. They actually mean well. They try to address certain problems that we do have in the retirement space, especially in a country like South Africa. People, yes, it's great to save retirement, but there's also a liquidity effect. They need money perhaps prior to retirement, and they don't want you to quit your job to access that. So you can definitely see why SARS is implementing this, and also why they give you the 27.5% tax break. They want you to save for retirement. They urge us to save for retirement. Why? Because they don't want to look after you in retirement. So they mean quite well. It's definitely, I think, a positive change. We'll get around all the admin and sort that out. That's where financial advisors should assist the clients in the corporate space, like you mentioned, employee benefits. That's what we do as well, or in the individual space. But I think the meaning is quite well, and we'll just have to keep our eyes on the two-pot system. But for now, it's tax season. Take advantage of the 27.5%. There's definitely no better way to invest, even with the restrictions of Regulation 28. The tax break that you do get is definitely a big advantage. So speak to your financial advisor. Contact us if you have any questions. Thank you. That's it from us this week, and we'll chat to you soon. And well done to Trickers that bring home the title for South Africa. Cheers, everyone. Enjoy.
Cheers.